Unraveling the Bermuda Triangle, an area roughly bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, spans about 500,000 square miles in the Atlantic Ocean. It's one of the world's busiest shipping lanes, yet it is infamous for the mysterious disappearance of over 50 ships and 20 planes since the mid-19th century, often without wreckage or clear explanations. Historical accounts and early mysteries. In 1492, during his voyage to the New World, Christopher Columbus sailed through this region. He recorded seeing a strange, distant light and noted that his compass behaved erratic, a phenomenon later attributed to the alignment of true north and magnetic north in the area, known as the Agonic Line. This alignment can confuse navigation, especially for sailors relying solely on compasses in earlier centuries. One of the earliest recorded disappearances was the USS Pickering in 1800, a sailing vessel with a 90-man crew that vanished en route to the West Indies, possibly due to a storm. In 1918, the USS Cyclops, a massive carrier with 306 crew members, disappeared without a distress signal while traveling from Barbados to Baltimore. No wreckage was ever found, making it the largest single loss of life in U.S. Navy history not related to combat. Notable incidents: the Lost Patrol and beyond. On December 5, 1945, 5 TBF Avenger planes, known as Flight 19, departed from a Florida naval base for a training mission. The pilots became disoriented after encountering unexpected heavy rain and winds, despite a clear weather forecast. Their navigational equipment failed, and the last transmission reported low fuel before all 5 planes vanished. A PBM-5 Mariner airboat sent to search for them also disappeared just 3 minutes after its last radio message, with no trace of the 6 aircraft ever found. In 2015, the cargo ship SSL Pharos sank in the region during Hurricane Joaquin. Despite extensive searches, the ship was found at a depth of 15,000 feet, but its 33 crew members were never located, highlighting the challenges of recovery in such deep waters. Theories behind the disappearances: natural phenomena. Rogue waves. These massive waves, sometimes reaching 100 feet, can form suddenly when weather patterns converge, creating walls of water capable of sinking ships quickly. Scientists suggest they might result from kinetic energy exchange between waves, where a vampire wave absorbs energy from others, leading to sudden, powerful impacts. Methane hydrates. Some hypothesize that methane gas eruptions from the ocean floor could reduce water density, causing ships to sink rapidly. However, studies, including those by the U.S. Geological Survey, indicate no significant methane releases in the area for the past 15,000 years. Magnetic variations. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the few places where true north and magnetic north align, causing compass malfunction. While this confused early navigators, modern GPS technology has mitigated this issue, as the Agonic Line has since shifted away. Storms and hurricanes. The region is prone to sudden, intense weather, including hurricanes and thunderstorms, driven by high atmospheric pressure around the Bermuda Islands. These storms can generate large waves and lightning that damage ships and planes. Human and environmental factors. The triangle's heavy maritime traffic increases the likelihood of accidents. Statistically, busier areas see more incidents, and the Bermuda Triangle isn't among the top 10 most dangerous ocean regions for disappearances. Navigational errors, especially in the early 20th century, often led ships into shallow Caribbean waters dotted with small islands, where they could run aground. Deep ocean trenches, like the Puerto Rico Trench, reaching depths of 27,500 feet, make wreckage recovery nearly impossible due to immense pressure and distance. The ocean floor also contains magnetite-rich rocks, which some theorize could interfere with magnetic fields, though scientific surveys find no significant anomalies. Speculative theories. Atlantis and energy crystals. A popular theory from the 1970s, popularized by author Charles Bell, suggests the lost city of Atlantis lies beneath the triangle, with energy crystals causing disappearances. This idea, while captivating to over 20 million book readers, lacks evidence. Time warps and extraterrestrials. Some speculate that a space-time rift or alien activity is responsible, but no scientific data supports these claims. Giant sea creatures. Legends of the Kraken or giant squids sinking ships have persisted, but no evidence exists of such creatures in the region. Giant squids, while real, are deep-sea dwellers, unlikely to attack large vessels. Other mysterious triangles. The Bermuda Triangle isn't unique. The Devil's Sea near Japan, also called the Pacific Bermuda Triangle, saw 9 ships vanish between 1950 and 1954. A research vessel, the Kaijo Maru No. 5, sent to investigate, also disappeared, leading Japanese authorities to label the area a danger zone. Underwater volcanic activity is a likely culprit here. The Alaskan Triangle, spanning Anchorage, Barrow, and Juneau, has recorded 16,000 disappearances since the late 1980s, including a 1950 flight carrying 44 people that vanished without a trace, despite extensive searches. Debunking the myths, scientists argue there's no mystery to the Bermuda Triangle. The rate of disappearances aligns with other busy ocean regions when adjusted for traffic volume. Many incidents are attributable to natural causes like storms, human error, or navigational challenges. The region's mystique grew in the mid-20th century through books, documentaries, and media, often based on unverified theories rather than facts. Bermuda. Beyond the Triangle, Bermuda itself is a vibrant island with a rich history and culture. Discovered in 1505 by One Day, it's the oldest British overseas territory. Its unique volcanic origin, pleasant weather, and pink sandy beaches make it a tourist haven. Highlights include cultural heritage. John Lennon wrote songs like Woman Here, and William Shakespeare's The Tempest drew inspiration from a 1609 shipwreck in the region. Wildlife. The Bermuda petrel, thought extinct for 300 years, was rediscovered in the 1950s, and glowing fireworms light up summer nights. Traditions. Bermudians celebrate their onion-growing history with a giant onion drop on New Year, SEV, in St. George's Town Square. Architecture. Homes are painted in bright colors, with white terraced roofs designed to collect rainwater, as there's no public water system. Bermuda offers world-class golf courses, historic lighthouses like Gibbs Hill, and natural wonders like the Crystal and Fantasy Caves. Discovered in 1907, its culinary scene features seafood dishes like codfish breakfast and hoppin' john, especially during Bermuda Restaurant Weeks in January. Conclusion. The Bermuda Triangle's reputation as a sinister anomaly is largely a product of myth and media exaggeration. While its disappearances are real, they're not statistically unusual for a heavily trafficked area prone to natural hazards. Beyond the mystery, Bermuda itself is a beautiful destination, offering far more than tales of lost ships, a place of history, culture, and natural beauty waiting to be explored. Eerie Mountain. Mysteries. Mountains can be both awe-inspiring and perilous, often becoming the setting for baffling vanishing. We delve into 2 unsettling disappearances in the rugged terrains of Montana and Colorado, both of which remain unsolved to this day. The vanishing hiker in Montana on July 18, 2007, 52-year-old LD, an avid hiker, prepared for a summer trek in Montana's Bitterroot Valley. She packed her backpack with essentials: water, snacks, extra layers, and a .357 Magnum pistol her husband, Mark, insisted she carry for safety. Emily was excited to guide her guests, Mark's cousin and his partner, to Bear Creek Overlook, a scenic spot she adored despite countless visits. The cousin stayed behind to recover from a late night, so Emily set off with the partner, a capable outdoorsman. The 2.5-mile trail to the Overlook, rising to 7,000 feet, was well within her expertise. However, a Forest Service crew replacing a culvert forced them to park a mile from the trailhead. As they walked to the starting point, they passed 2 young men in their 20s, likely the owners of a nearby Chevy Blazer, and later met them again on the trail, exchanging a few words. By late morning, Emily and her companion reached the summit, where they rested, ate, and took in the view. After about 30 minutes, they decided to head back. The partner paused briefly, less than a minute, to admire the scenery one last time, but when he turned around, Emily had vanished. The open terrain, with loose shale and steep drop-offs, made it nearly impossible to disappear silently, yet there was no sign of her. He called out, searched the area, and retraced their steps, but found nothing. By 1:30 p.m., his concern escalated, and he rushed to the construction site to ask workers if they'd seen her. They hadn't. A worker joined him to check the car, but Emily wasn't there. By 2 p.m., she was reported missing. Mark received a call from a Forest Service officer, stunned that his experienced wife could vanish on a familiar trail. He drove 20 miles to the trailhead, where a search was underway. Dozens of volunteers, law enforcement, search dogs, and helicopters with infrared technology scoured the area for days, but found no trace, no footprints, clothing, or heat signatures. The 2 young hikers became key witnesses. but despite a $10,000 reward, they were never located. The partner cooperated fully, even offering a polygraph. Though some questioned how Emily could disappear in seconds without a sound, the open landscape showed no evidence of a fall or struggle. Mark was briefly investigated, as is standard, but cleared of suspicion. He never stopped searching, often staring at the overlook from his home, until his death in November 2021 from pancreatic cancer, never learning what happened to Emily. A double mystery in Colorado. Silver Plume. Colorado, a small town along Interstate 70, lies nestled in the Rocky Mountains. A former silver mining hub from the late 19th century, it shrank after the 1890s silver crash, leaving just 200 residents by the 1980s. Tucked between canyon walls, the town gets limited sunlight 2.5 hours daily on the north side in winter, and sometimes none for weeks on the south side. In 1987, Robert, a reserved Army veteran and former teacher, ran a bookstore in Silver Plume. On September 7th, he locked up and vanished. Locals initially assumed he'd left for a mentioned Europe trip, but after 3 weeks with no word, a search began, yielding no clues. In summer 1988, David, a 48-year-old Chicago journalist, arrived in Silver Plume seeking a new challenge. Nearing 50, he took a sabbatical to climb mountains, overcome his fear of heights, and write a novel. He rented a storefront for an antique shop, unaware it had been Robert's bookstore, located across from a cafe run by his lifelong friend. David became fixated on Robert's disappearance, interviewing locals and weaving the mystery into his novel about a character named Sam, a mix of himself and Robert. On July 31, 1988, hunters found Robert's remains on Republican Mountain, 1.5 miles from town, beside his dog's skeleton. Both had been shot in the head, with a revolver nearby and traces of a tarp suggesting concealment. Robert had bought a gun days before vanishing, leading authorities to rule it a self-inflicted act. However, questions lingered: why bring his dog, why the tarp, and why no reported gunshots? The case was closed, but doubts persisted. A week later, on August 7th, David told locals he planned to climb Pendleton Mountain, a 12,500-foot peak, despite his fear of heights and the late hour. At 4 p.m., he shared his plan with his friend at the cafe, half joking, "If I don't return, call for help." By 4:30 p.m., he was last seen heading toward the mountain in a flannel shirt, jeans, and sneakers, no gear. When David didn't return, a massive search, the largest in Colorado history, began. Over 125 people, dogs, and helicopters searched the treacherous terrain for 7 days. But on August 14th, the effort was halted. No trace of David was found, no footprints, clothing, or signs he'd been there. The cases shared eerie similarities. Both men used the same storefront, vanished mysteriously, and left unanswered questions. David's last novel entry describes Sam wearing a flannel shirt and heading into the forest, mirroring his own actions. A newspaper about Robert's discovery sat nearby. Theories include David staging his disappearance to live his novel's story, though his family rejected this, citing his happy life. Others suggest both men uncovered a dangerous secret, but no evidence of foul play was found. The simplest explanation, that David succumbed to the mountain's hazards, feels incomplete without remains. Conclusion: decades later, both cases remain unresolved. Emily's disappearance defies explanation, vanishing in seconds on an open trail. Robert and David's stories intertwine hauntingly, one case closed, the other open, yet neither feels settled. The mountains of Montana and Colorado continue to guard their secrets, leaving us to ponder what truly happened. 25 discoveries that rewrite history. History often unveils surprises that reshape our understanding of the past. From ancient tools to hidden cities, these 25 discoveries challenge long-held beliefs and offer fresh perspectives on human history. 25. Britain's earliest salt production. In 2021, archaeologists in Yorkshire uncovered a Neolithic salt-making site dating to around 10,000 BCE, featuring pits and hearths for boiling salt water. This early industrial setup reveals that prehistoric Britons were not just hunter-gatherers but skilled producers and traders. The find, led by the University of York, highlights their advanced organization, transforming our view of early Britain as a connected society where salt was a vital preservative and trade commodity. 24. Roman presence in the Canary Islands. In 2024, a team from the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria found 1st century BCE Roman ceramics off the Canary Islands. Previously thought isolated until the 14th century, This discovery suggests the islands may have been a Roman outpost or trade stop, expanding our understanding of Roman exploration beyond the Mediterranean. 23. Europe's first human ancestors. A 2023 excavation at Ukraine's Korolevo site uncovered 1.4 million-year-old stone tools, predating Homo sapiens. This pushes back the timeline of human presence in Europe by 600,000 years, indicating that early species like Homo erectus were exploring and adapting to European landscapes far earlier than previously believed. 22. Greek artifacts and Native American legends. In 1857, a Comanche man shared tales of 10-foot-tall white giants who roamed America before Europeans, displacing indigenous peoples. Decades later, a Greek medallion and coins found in Oklahoma prompted genealogist Donald Yates to explore similar tribal stories among the Cherokee and Tennessee tribes. Ancient Greek historian Strabo's mention of a western continent supports the idea of pre-Columbian Greek contact, potentially rewriting early American history. 21. An Egyptian-Indian cultural link. A temple on India's western coast, dedicated to the goddess Patini, is rumored to hide an underground shrine to the Egyptian goddess Isis. Historian Chris Morgan suggests an Egyptian traveler may have introduced Isis worship, blending it with local practices due to shared mythological themes of loss and though unexcavated due to restrictions by a Hindu organization. This theory hints at ancient cultural exchanges between Egypt and India. 20. An ancient Egyptian homework tablet. In 2019, the British Library rediscovered a 1,800-year-old Egyptian tablet, a child's homework assignment. A young student, likely from a high-status family, copied Greek proverbs about wisdom and friendship, offering a glimpse into ancient education where moral lessons were central long before modern schooling systems. 19. Orni's hidden underground city. Orni, the medieval Armenian capital known as the City of 1001 Churches, revealed a vast underground complex in 2014, with schools, monk cells, and over 800 structures linked by tunnels. This discovery redefines Arni as a vibrant center of learning and spirituality, deepening our understanding of Armenia's historical influence. 80. Neanderthal glue innovation. In France's Limousin region, 200,000-year-old Neanderthal glue made from bitumen and ochre was discovered, predating human glue making by 130,000 years, sourced from distant locations. This adhesive shows Neanderthals' advanced planning and tool-making skills, challenging their primitive stereotype and reshaping our view of ancient innovation. 17. Italy's ancient winemaking roots. At Monte Cronio in Italy, researchers found 6,000-year-old pots with tartaric acid residue, indicating great fermentation from the Copper Age. This pushes Italian winemaking back nearly 2,000 years, predating the Middle Bronze Age and highlighting the deep cultural significance of wine in the region. 16. Aboriginal tools rewrite Australia's timeline. In 2017, ochre crayons and stone axes at Mashedby Rock Shelter in Australia, dating to 65,000 years ago, extended the timeline of Aboriginal arrival by 18,000 years. These artifacts suggest early coexistence with megafauna and a faster human migration out of Africa, transforming our understanding of Australian history. 15. The oldest trigonometric table. Plimpton 322, a 3,700-year-old Babylonian clay tablet unearthed in Iraq, was decoded in 2017 as the world's oldest trigonometric table, predating Greek trigonometry by over 1,000 years, using ratios instead of angles. It aided in constructing massive structures like palaces and pyramids, showcasing Babylonian mathematical ingenuity. 14. The Garamantas Desert Civilization. In 2011, satellite imagery revealed over 100 fortified Garamantas settlements in the Sahara, dating to 1500 BC. Their advanced irrigation systems created supporting urban centers and trade networks, highlighting the sophistication of indigenous African societies and challenging views of North Africa's history as solely shaped by external empires. 13. Tuberculosis from seals. Not Columbus DNA from 1,000-year-old Peruvian remains shows that seals, not Christopher Columbus, introduced tuberculosis to the Americas centuries earlier, likely contracted during African outbreaks. Seals transmitted the disease through indigenous seal hunting, rewriting the history of TB's spread in the New World. 12. Rome's ambitions in Arabia in 2023. Oxford researchers found 3 Roman military camps along the Saudi Arabia-Jordan border using satellite imagery. These camps suggest Rome attempted a covert push into Arabia, possibly targeting the Nabatean kingdom, challenging the belief that Rome only traded with the region and hinting at broader imperial ambitions. 11. Sumerian urban planning. Excavations at the Sumerian city of Lagash reveal organized districts, walls, and canals, contradicting assumptions of chaotic early cities, abandoned over 2,000 years ago. Lagash's intact layout shows the Sumerians were sophisticated urban planners, reshaping our understanding of ancient city development. 10. Early human speech. Archaeologist Stephen Mithen's research suggests humans began speaking 1.6 million years ago, far earlier than the previously thought 200,000 years. Studying tools and brain structures in Africa, Mithen found that as vocal tracts evolved, early humans used simple words for hunting and planning, with sounds like buzz, possibly echoing their origin. 9. A massive diamond discovery. In 2023, Lucara Diamond Corp unearthed a 2,492-carat diamond in Botswana's Karo mine, the second largest ever found. Discovered using advanced X-ray technology, it challenges beliefs about the rarity of such stones and sets a new standard for diamond mining, though its future, whether auctioned, cut, or preserved, remains undecided. 8. The oldest known shipwreck, a 3,300-year-old Bronze Age shipwreck, found 88 kilometers off northern Israel in 2023 at 1,600 meters deep, is the oldest ever discovered. Spotted by Energen, the ship carried hundreds of amphorae, revealing that Bronze Age sailors navigated open seas using stars, challenging assumptions about their coastal-only travel. 7. Papua New Guinea's ancient geoglyph. In 2023, explorer Gary Eastman discovered a massive geoglyph in Papua New Guinea using Google Earth, spanning 40 meters wide and 80 meters tall. The intricate bird design, including a cockatoo, reveals a previously unknown tradition of large-scale stonework among indigenous communities, challenging their historical record. 6. Pompeii's prison bakery. Archaeologists at Pompeii uncovered a prison bakery where enslaved people and donkeys were forced to grind grain in cramped, brutal conditions. Small rooms with barred windows and floor indentations reveal the grueling labor, shedding light on the harsh realities of ancient slavery, described by Pompeii's director as a stark example of brute violence. 5. A submerged Mediterranean bridge. A 25-foot bridge, submerged in Mallorca's Genovesa cave, dates back 6,000 years, showing humans explored the Mediterranean 1,600 years earlier than thought. Carefully constructed, likely to access fresh water, the bridge rewrites the timeline of early Mediterranean settlement. 4. Early human migration to Arabia. A 90,000-year-old human middle finger bone, the oldest known human fossil outside Africa, was found in Al-Wasta, Arabia, dating to around 85,000 years ago. It suggests humans were in the region 20,000 years earlier than thought, indicating more complex migration patterns out of Africa. 3. Ancient surgical knowledge. In 2022, a 31,000-year-old skeleton with an amputated left leg was found in a Borneo cave. The careful amputation and signs of healing suggest the individual lived 6-9 years post-surgery, indicating advanced medical knowledge of surgery, antiseptics, and post-operative care far earlier than the previously oldest known amputation from 7,000 years ago. 2. Egypt's earliest rulers redefined in Egypt's Sinai Desert. 60 ancient carvings reveal that Queen Neithhotep, wife of Pharaoh Nahma, ruled as regent for her son Jir 5,000 years ago. Inscriptions also suggest Memphis existed earlier, under a ruler named Ar, shifting the timeline of Egypt's ancient capital, while early boat drawings highlight the culture's long-standing maritime tradition. 1. Rethinking human evolution. Recent discoveries show advanced behaviors emerged far earlier than thought. At Kalambo Falls in Zambia, 476,000-year-old interlocking logs reveal architectural skills predating Homo sapiens by 200,000 years. Neanderthal paintings in France's La Roche-Cotard cave, Homo erectus shell carvings, and possible burial practices by Homo naledi in South Africa's Rising Star cave suggest complex social behaviors pushing us to reconsider the origins of art, architecture, and humanity itself. Conclusion: these discoveries, from ancient innovations to cultural connections, challenge our assumptions and deepen our understanding of history. They remind us that the past is full of surprises, continually reshaping what we believe about humanity's journey. Haunting unsolved mysteries, some cases leave a lasting mark due to their brutality or inexplicable nature. Here we explore to such stories: a heartbreaking unsolved crime in St. Louis, and a chilling coincidence in England that defies explanation. The St. Louis tragedy on February 28th, two men scavenging for scrap metal entered the basement of an abandoned building at 5635 Clemens Avenue in North St. Louis. The crumbling structure, overtaken by time and nature, was shrouded in darkness. Around 3:30 p.m., they flicked on a lighter in the furnace room, revealing a horrifying sight: a small body lying face down on the concrete. The body belonged to a young girl, her hands bound behind her back with what appeared to be a jump rope. She wore a blood-stained yellow V-neck sweater with the tags removed, and from the waist down, she was Most disturbingly, her head was missing. The men fled to call the police, who arrived to a scene that unnerved even veteran officers. Initially thought to be an adult, the girl was later estimated to be between 8 and 11 years old, likely black and tall for her age. With no head, identification was impossible, and no matching missing child reports surfaced. The basement yielded no further evidence, and the absence of blood suggested this was a dump site, not the murder location. Detectives noted the precision of the wound, hinting at someone with anatomical knowledge. Dubbed Little Jane Doe by authorities, her identity remained a mystery. Despite extensive canvassing, no one reported her missing. Investigators expanded their search beyond Missouri, checking school records and missing persons reports nationwide, but found no The sweater's removed tags and the methodical nature of the crime suggested an autopsy revealed an empty stomach, indicating she hadn't eaten recently, but showed no signs of prolonged abuse, no scars or broken bones. The FBI's behavioral science unit was consulted, but without an identity, profiling was limited. Theories ranged from a local perpetrator familiar with the area to a ritualistic act, possibly by a serial offender. One suspect emerged years later: Vernon Brown, a convicted serial predator. In 1986, he killed a 9-year-old girl using similar methods, and in 1985, he murdered a 19-year-old woman. Both victims were young, black, and vulnerable, and Brown lived in St. Louis in 1983. However, he never removed body parts in other crimes, and despite questioning, he never confessed before his execution in 2005. In 2013, investigators hoped DNA testing could reveal Jane Doe's origins. Her burial site at Washington Park Cemetery was in disrepair, with lost records, but a researcher from Washington University used old photos and satellite imagery to locate her grave. Isotopic analysis of her bones suggested she lived her entire life in the southeastern US, possibly in one of 10 states, but no DNA matches or missing reports aligned with this clue. She was reburied in a cemetery section for unidentified children, her case still unsolved. The Erdington coincidence. Erdington, a quiet suburb of Birmingham, England, was once a rural stopover for travelers between Chester and London in the 18th and 19th centuries. On May 27, 1817, a laborer crossing a field noticed a disturbing scene near a water-filled pit. A woman's shoe, a hat, and blood-stained clothing. Locals retrieved the body of 20-year-old Mary Ashwood from the pit, her arms bruised and dress torn, indicating an assault before her drowning. Mary, a kind housekeeper for her uncle in Langley Heath, had attended a Whit Monday celebration at the Tyburn House pub the previous night. She arrived with her friend Sarah, changed into a party dress, and danced with a 24-year-old man, Abraham Thornhill, who took a keen interest in her. Witnesses noted his bold demeanor, with some claiming he bragged about pursuing her. At midnight, Mary left with Abraham, Sarah, and another man, but the group soon parted, leaving Mary and Abraham alone. At 4 a.m., Mary returned to Sarah's home to change, appearing calm and saying she'd spent time with Abraham before he left. She hurried off to meet her uncle for the market but never arrived. By 8 a.m., her body was found. Footprints near the pit, one set, female, one male, led to the water, but only the male set led away. Abraham was arrested, admitting to an intimate encounter but insisting it was consensual. His shoes matched the prints, and bloodstains were found on his clothing. At his trial on August 8, 1817, public outrage was fierce, but Abraham had alibis and a gamekeeper placed him miles away around the time of the murder, making the timeline The blood on his clothing was attributed to Mary's menstruation, and after a 6-minute deliberation, the jury acquitted him. Mary's brother appealed for a second trial, but Abraham invoked a medieval law, trial by battle, challenging him to a duel. The brother declined, and Abraham was legally free, but publicly shunned. Eventually fleeing to the US on May 27, 1974, 157 years later, 20-year-old Barbara Foster, a nurse at a children's home in Erdington, went dancing with her boyfriend, Daniel. After parting at a bus stop past 1 a.m., Barbara never made it home. She missed work, prompting a swift police search. On June 4th, her body was found in a park near her home, close to Mary's murder site, showing signs of assault and a poor attempt at concealment. Barbara had eerily predicted an unlucky end to May, confiding in a co-worker days earlier, much like Mary's premonition of a bad week. Suspicion fell on Michael Ian Thornhill, a co-worker with the same surname as Abraham, who lived near where Barbara was last seen. Bloodstains on his pants and a false alibi from his mother led to his arrest, but the evidence was deemed insufficient, and the judge directed a not guilty verdict. Barbara's sister campaigned for years to reopen the case, advocating for modern forensic testing in 2012, but no new leads have emerged. The parallels are staggering. Two 20-year-old women, murdered on the same date in Erdington, both after dancing, both with men named Thornhill as suspects, and both cases ending in acquittal. Despite the similarities, no evidence links the crimes beyond coincidence. Conclusion: Little Jane Doe's case remains a haunting enigma in St. Louis, a symbol of a child forgotten in life and death. In Erdington, the murders of Mary and Barbara, separated by over a century, challenge our understanding of coincidence with their eerie similarities. Both stories linger as unsolved mysteries, leaving us to grapple with the unknown.